Want to get hired 9 out of 10 times in your consults? Of course we do. We have some awesome tips to support you in closing those deals because we've worked so hard to get in front of somebody. And so now we want to make sure that they hire us, right? So let's get into it. Okay, so Bebo Mia, we use the 4S method, and the first one is similar. And so when we're working with people or our potential clients, people like them. Let me say that again. We like to be with like. So how do we kind of connect that? So the first thing that you can do when you come into your consult is find something similar. You might have grown up in that neighborhood. You might have the same sweatshirt they're wearing. You might have used the same carrier that they have in the package that's, they've just ordered and it's by the door, something like that. Or you have lots of experience with something. So if they've got their new pump, be like, oh, most of my clients get this. I can help you set it up. I love this pump. And so right away, we've created like a similarity and they see themselves in you. Please make sure it's something authentic. Don't just like pick a thing. But there's so many spaces. You can always find a similarity, but it's really exciting for people when you're like, oh, you do? Oh, you know this too? Or you had this, or you lived here, you went to that school, like whatever it is, you birthed at this hospital, like whatever. So don't pretend, find something similar. So S number 1, similar. Number 2, simple. This is like, keep what you're doing really, really simple, which is asking questions, and you talk this much and you let them talk this much. So you should be talking 20% of the time, letting them talk about 80% of the time. Now that I've been doing a lot of virtual consults because I live rurally and so folks live really far away, I put a tracker on my meeting software, and it will actually time the percentage to see like how much of the conversation I've spoken and how much has been them talking. And so it's fun because I like want to keep it under 20%. And it's so interesting because at the end, the folks I'm talking to are like, oh my God, I loved talking to you. And it's because they loved that I was listening. Okay, so in that simple, I want you to think about talking less, showing up with your best, most confident self, because when people are hiring a doula, they're hiring somebody that's going to keep them safe, that's going to be the expert in the room, that's going to be able to help them navigate through information. And so they want to know that like you have them. So I want you to bring that energy, that like, I've got you energy, okay? And then if they are, so we're still in the simple, if they are asking questions about you, you always want to answer them in like something that makes sense for them. And so any question, like they'll say something like, I don't know, do you have kids? Or so, I don't know, something like that. And then I'll always say like, yeah, but through that experience, I like really learned what advocacy is missing in the hospital. And so I've been able to like really know exactly what my clients need. And so that, and you keep going. And so any experience you have, any question they ask you, you want to like make the benefit about you, because they're not actually really asking like, tell us about your education, or tell us how many kids or how many clients have you had. They really want to know like, are you going to have what I need to be safe in my fertility, pregnancy, birth, postpartum period, loss, whatever like they're hiring you for. Okay. So first one, similar. Second one, simple. Number 3 is solutions. Now, because we've been doing so much listening, remember, we're talking this much and we're listening this much. I just like make a running tab of all the problems that they are sharing, because number 3 is solutions. And so they'll go through and I'll listen and they'll be like, oh, but we know like the dog shouldn't be in the bed. And so now we don't really know like where they can start sleeping. And that's really stressful, and my job and my mother-in-law. And I haven't been able to find like nursing bras that fit, like all of these things. My doctor's been like kind of implying that this baby's big, so I'm probably going to have to be induced, and like that's not what I wanted. And so they're just like talking, and then you come in and you like do all of the sweep of solutions at the end or close to the end. So if that was somebody I was sitting across that was sharing all those things, I have to write it down now. Before, like 20 years ago, I could just remember. So let's see if I can remember the list I just made up. Okay, so their first pain point was their dog. So be like, just so you know, I have an awesome person, a trainer that can come support you. And as long as they have 6 weeks, they can like readjust how your pets are moving. So just let me know. I can get you that referral. And I'm hearing that you're really stressed with work. So I have some awesome scripts that you can share with your boss, or we can be working together to make sure that like we make a priority list of the stuff you have to get done before you go on parental leave. And then the rest, like, honestly, isn't that big of a deal. So I'm able to go through that list with you. And then the next one is like, listen, if the issue is your mother-in-law on the day of, I'm happy to take point on communication. I'll only communicate what you want, but like, I'll take that off your plate. So like, don't you worry. I'll be the touch point to everybody outside of the room if that makes things easier. As for your doctor, you know, I have some really great research about the big baby, kind of like the myth of the big baby for induction. So as we get closer, we can continue to bring that evidence and that research to your appointments. And you know what? You can always decline inductions. Just because they're suggesting it, it does not mean you have to do it. I think that was the list. Drop in the comments if I forgot one and I'll come up with the solution for that. But like, so at the end, and so then they're like, oh, you've just started or solved all of my problems. Okay. So, that I can only do that if I ask questions and keep them talking and talking and talking. And then I can like gather up all their problems and show how working with me will fix all of them. Okay. And so really you're wanting to listen to like, where are they now and where do they want to go? And how are you going to be the one that gets them from point A to point B? And because we're always a resource, never a source, it means we get to like use our awesome, black book and our connections and the research that we know and other people in our community to like bring the team in that can get them from point A to point B. So in my example, I had the dog trainer that's able to like support them in doing, the tools. You might also, if this is a common problem that you're having, is lots of people, especially first-time parents, lots of people are saying like, oh, what are we going to do about the pets? Because they've been our babies and now we're having a human baby and we're like worried about this conflict, that you might actually create a system yourself working with the dog person or a pet person. And you're like, oh, really cool. I actually have a 3-part video series that I give to all my clients that you can actually do it yourself. And so now it's not another expense that they have. So, these are the interesting things you can do also with collaborations. Okay. So number 1 was similar. Number 2 was simple. Number 3 was solutions. We're coming up to number 4, which I always think is really, really important because I love all of you guys and we need to make sure we're okay. So number 4 is safety. And this is really about taking care of you because it's a vulnerable thing. Like, we're meeting strangers in strange places a lot of times in their homes. Like, I think back when I had an agency, Bebo Mia, that's what we started as. I was doing like 15 consults a week. Those are 15 strangers' homes I was going into because I was doing consults for my team to be like, oh, actually, we have a really great doula we think that you jive with. And so I'd go in and do the consult and then match them. And so like, that's a lot of strangers. That's a pretty risky thing. And so for safety, I really want you to trust your gut. We teach our clients about the intuition piece and we need to also consider that. So if you pull up to where you were supposed to meet somebody, whether it's a coffee shop or their home or somewhere else, if they're like, let's meet in this park, that if it feels wrong, trust your gut and you can text them and say like, actually, do you mind meeting virtually? Or like something's come up. I've pulled up in front of a couple apartment buildings where I've been like, my potential clients might be really lovely in this building, but like, this doesn't feel like a safe thing for me to be doing at night. For whatever reason, my gut was like, nope, this isn't great. And so those are really important things. Also, just make sure folks know where you are. So drop a pin, if you have a partner or best friend or family member, that before every consult, you say like, this is the address I'm going to be at, and I'll text you back in 90 minutes. And if you don't, like, And then, if your consult is going really long, I've had some consults go really long, that you check your phone and you're like, I'm still okay. And you just let people know like, oh, actually, I just have to take this, so that like that system works out and so that they don't raise the alarm. And you're really okay. So those are the 4 S's: similar, simple, solutions, and safety. And I have some other awesome tips to kind of like close the deal, and we will go over those in the next video. So I will see you there.